Welcome to Unofficial Commentary by the Unqualified. I am Adam. So last week we launched the new format where we talk about politics mostly and other current affairs. So we talked about the midterm election and how it affected the district. New York won, my home district, for the House of Representatives. We didn't get any results in. No one really, said they wanted me to cover another district. I don't know. I didn't look at the stats for the episode or anything to be able to say if that was due to lack of listenership or if that was due to, other problems or if, if there's no one wanted to, talk about it because there's plenty of people already talking about it. So I was going to cover New York 2 today. New York 2 is Nassau County. And we're just going to go through New York, and then we're going to move on to the next state, and the next state, and the next state, and then we would, go on from there. Hopefully we would be done reasonably by the 2020 election, and we would see what happens there. But then this happened. In 2013, I came down for a funeral, and we ate breakfast, and there were signs up saying to come in and take a look at this. There's a hearing happening about a mosque they were planning to build in the Mount Sinai area. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Long Island, Mount Sinai is it's a town that has a lot more, it thinks it has a lot more money than it actually does. It has a lot of private schools, and it has it's on the cusp of Port Jefferson, Belterre, all of these areas that have run down in recent years, but at one point were, nicer areas. Belterre is still pretty nice, but like Port Jeff has, hit a few rough patches over the years. Port Jefferson, if you've heard it, on House of Cards, they're going to build a bridge to Bridgeport, which would have been a traffic nightmare, and anyone who was from the area would have known that. But, here we have, this. They were going to, build a mosque in Mount Sinai, because Mount Sinai has, schools, and, there are schools and churches for every religion in the history of humanity. There are multiple Catholic churches, there are Methodist churches, Baptist churches, synagogue, temple. Everything is in this town. There's Jehovah's Witnesses have a spot, and that's not even me saying Jehovah's Witnesses because it's, it's something random. There actually is a Jehovah's Witness church that I've seen in the neighborhood. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a temple devoted to the Norse gods somewhere in there. But this mosque, this was the line that was drawn in the sand. We cannot have a mosque in this neighborhood. And I brought up the article from 2013 via The Patch, which is a local newspaper. They'll be revising a proposal to convert an existing barn at 515 Mount Sinai Quorum Road, which are the proposal up for discussion at the meeting. Meeting comes about a month after the community came out to ask questions and voice concern for the proposed mosque. While traffic and parking issues were chief concerns for those in attendance, some raised other questions, such as what would be practiced and taught, as well as which would include classrooms as well, and if it would be tax exempt. Now, I'm willing to bet money that if this was a more white religion that wasn't, if it wasn't a Muslim organization, they would have had no problem. Traffic, parking, not an issue. They would have had no problem putting this in. But because it was a Muslim organization, it's routinely racist out here. So it would have just been another day that ends in Y for them to be trying to block it. And had I not had to go to a funeral, I would have gone to the meeting to yell at people, because that's the kind of thing that got me really annoyed, because they have every other type of Catholic and every denomination of Christian church has representation in this town alone. I'm not even talking in the region, there's a church of some kind. No, in this specific town of Mount Sinai, just about every other type of Christian has a church, but this mosque is where we draw the line, and it's entirely because they don't want the Muslims in the neighborhood. So, years passed. That was 5 years ago. They did end up opening the mosque because I guess better judgment took over, and they didn't let the thoughts of very, very racist people and xenophobic people take what should have been there. So we come to what happened a few days ago. November 12th was when this article comes out. Smithtown group home proposal draws neighbors' condemnation. Now, condemnation is a much stronger word than what the Pats used in 2013 about the mosque they were building. They just said concern. This is condemnation. Condemnation for a group home from, did I say the name of the organization? No. Okay. So here's the thing. Number one, this headline is very misleading. Smithtown group home proposal draws neighbors' condemnation. They don't say what the organization that is going to be doing it and how many people can be living in this group home, because a group home can be anything from 3 people to 20 people. And if it is the higher numbers, it could be an issue for a small neighborhood. So, the Smithtown-based Developmental Disabilities Institute said that it would provide 24-hour supervision to 6 men in a home in Smithtown. Okay. Not terrible, considering 6 people is a dorm. And they're getting a house. Like, you can get 6 people into a dorm, depending on where you're staying at some campuses of colleges. When I went, me and Peter we both went to SUNY Albany. I went to orientation, and we had to get in what's known as Colonial Quad. It's one of the older, less renovated quads on campus. There were, instead of having the showers in the rooms, there were showers that were communal. More of what you would see in a movie about college than what was more realistic in this day and age. That said, it still goes on, and it's not really a big deal, but it's just, it's more of a traditional view of what a college experience is. And the rooms we stayed in were 6, and we had 2, 2, and 2, and then there was a common area. So that's it. So it'd be 6 plus supervision. Now the house is listed at $529,000. Now, DDI's plans drew condemnation last week from neighbors of the property. Okay? Now, DDI, for those of you who don't know, deals with people who are developmentally disabled, as an developmental disability institute. So, these people are people who can't function on their own entirely. They're people who have some form of disability that prevents them from being completely autonomous, functioning adults. There's nothing severely wrong with them, to the point you're not having a house full of mass murderers. They're not putting a prison into your neighborhood. They're not starting the Hunger Games in your neighborhood. They're putting in a house full of people who are not dangerous. They're just different. Severely mentally handicapped. Severe issues, physical issues, that they can't take care of themselves. That's what this is. Okay? Now, I'm going to read you this first quote, and I'm going to tell you the name of the person who made this quote. I ordinarily wouldn't do something like this, but this fucking woman was so proud of this comment that she had her name put in the Newsday article. So if she can't take this, then I don't know what to tell you. Quote, I feel bad if a young couple saving all their money moves in with little children to find out they're next door to that. That? You're not even masking what it is that you don't like. It's not like, you're not even saying, oh, it's going to cause a traffic problem, which if you said there's a traffic problem from having a few cars in the area because you have people who are coming in and out of the home. We've had a few traffic problems on my street because one of my neighbors has aides that come in, and the only thing that really happens is my parking spot gets taken. But who cares? Get another parking spot. So, like, that, the only time you really have that is a shift change, is when someone's leaving, someone else is coming in, and then that's when the only time you're going to have a problem when it's going to be a busy street. Now, to say that they might have little children and move in next to that. Number one, if that house is open, you're gonna know it's a group home. Okay? That's one of the things gonna be listed by a realtor. They're gonna tell you, by the way, you're next door to a group home. Number one. Number two, it's a $59,000 house. So it's a very expensive area to begin with. That these things historically do not drive down property values. Having a group home in your neighborhood is not one of the things that drives down property values. So I'm not sure what it is besides just a fear that comes from a lack of understanding is what it comes off as mostly. And you're using it to make life harder for people who already have a hard enough life. Okay? This is a chance for people to have a somewhat normal life. People who have things wrong with them, severely wrong with them, but not in a way where they're going to be a danger to themselves or to others. Well, I mean, they have AIDS, so possibly a danger to themselves, but they're not violent people. You're not moving in with people who are going to hurt you. No one here is going to, you don't have MS-13 moving into your neighborhood. You don't have any number of other things that could possibly hurt you or this hypothetical young family moving in. Okay? Then the next question, we bought with expectations to be living with single families. Traffic, noise, and the fact that we don't feel the neighborhood is zoned for that. See, and here's the thing, too, is that now you start pulling the other things, the other excuses, because no one wants to be Gloria, who's unabashed in her, in what she's feeling and why she feels the way she does. She just says whatever's on her mind. Good for Gloria. This guy, his name is Keith, talks about it in a way that sounds more like, well, there are other reasons that this could be a danger to the neighborhood. The traffic, the this. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not familiar with the area. The address that they were going to buy is listed on the site. I didn't go into detail to look at what the site was to see what's going on. And I don't understand. I have a fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on here, I think, and what the problem is. It's like, what the fuck, like, so, I don't understand what traffic and noise could possibly be brought by a group home. It's not a frat house. If it were a frat house, I'd be like, yeah, you have a right to be concerned about noise and about, noise and traffic, because that's going to invite noise and traffic. This is not going to do that. This isn't a petting zoo. This is a home for people with developmental disabilities. So then the director of DDI responded, there's no data that property values are affected by homes like this one. A staff of no more than 4 people would not increase traffic except during shift changes, she wrote. 2 vehicles will be stationed at the home, and the neighbors of other DDI homes have not complained about the noise. The home was expected to open late next year, she wrote, with renovations planned. And it's reviewing DDI, and here's the problem, okay? Someone should step in from the town, and I know this is asking a lot in this day and age, and I'm asking someone to fucking sack up, please, and just say, no, we're not going to listen to your ridiculous conspiracy theories about what could possibly happen, okay? There's no evidence that that's going to happen. There is no case of that happening with DDI and their other group homes on Long Island. There is no risk to this. I need someone from the town of Smithtown to come out and say, you need to shut the fuck up and act like a responsible human adult and actually, not hate someone because of what they can't control. This is the epitome of something they can't control. This is something that they've been dealing with all their life, and now they have a chance to I said this before, but, fuck you. That's all I can really say. The fact that this is done as news and is listed out the way it is, it's, what the fuck? I don't even know what to say about this. Someone needs to go into this neighborhood. First of all, to an extent, DDI probably should have canvassed the neighborhood first and asked, should we, but the thing is, who's going to say yes to that? Because people hear the word group home and they think halfway house. They think people who are drug addicts. These aren't drug addicts that you're dealing with. They're not going to bring in an undesirable, quote-unquote, element to the neighborhood. Because I realized as I was saying that I was doing air quotes, and you can't see me because this is an audio podcast. There's not going to bring in that element that you're afraid of. I'm using all the words that they like to hear and they like to use to make it seem like they're not talking about... Because the thing is, they're afraid of what could come into the neighborhood. But this isn't what this is, and no one really explained it to them. They heard the word group home and freaked out. And then Newsday, which is only slightly less reputable than the New York Post, goes and stokes these fears. I'll get into my problems with Newsday in a future episode, because this is becoming a series of what the fuck Long Island, because I had a bunch of things to cover today, and I couldn't pick which one I wanted to focus on. The fucking second hockey arena they're going to build in a 10-mile radius that also doesn't have a hockey team. The Long Island Needs a Drag Strip, which is probably one of the worst-run charitable organizations I've ever seen in my life, that has made no progress in almost 10 years to getting an actual drag strip built on Long Island. There's just so much going on that I don't understand. You know what? I'm gonna condense all of it into one episode because I feel I'm on a roll right now. So let's just move on to the next one. The next one is going to be building another casino. So off exit 64 is the big on the LIE. There's an area that's not really being used off the LIE service road. 495 is the designation. So there's a big wooded area not being used over there. So people thought, let's put a casino in, because I guess casino gambling was just legalized recently, and Jake 58 has been making a lot of money off of exit 58 on the LIE, so they're going to put another one 15 miles or so away. Then what happened was the town of, I think it's Medford in that area, goes, we don't want to have a casino here, because a casino actually will bring in people we don't want in the neighborhood and will bring down property values. And also there was a legal hurdle of Long Island is only allocated 1,000 video slot machines, or some sort of video gambling machine. Long Island's only allocated 1,000 of those for the entire area, and Jake 58 is using all 1,000, so they would need to go to Albany, get allocation for another 1,000 to put it in there, and then they have to build a casino, and then who knows if it would be able to be as profitable as Jake 58 because of how close they are together, and it would dilute the pool of people who are going. Like, Jake 58 is probably only that profitable because it's the only place you can go to that close. So they decided, you know what? Not going to build a casino. The new proposal? Hockey arena. Long Island has a checkered history with hockey teams. They did have the Islanders focused on... the Islanders were based out of Nassau County and the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale for a long time. I think the first hockey game I ever went to was there because of how shitty the Islanders were and how cheap the tickets were. Me, my dad, my grandmother, my brother went to a game there once. But they redid it. They didn't redo it fast enough for the Islanders, and the Barclays Center offered them residency there, so they moved to the Barclays Center. So then, earlier this year, I believe it was, Long Island, the town of Brookhaven, I think it is, or Suffolk County, has a ton of land to use. Now, Long Island, let's talk about this for a second, has one of the highest rates of opioid addiction in the country. So you have a large amount of space between an airport and a train station to build whatever the hell you want. You can't really say that it's going to drive down property values to put down a detox center, to put down affordable housing, to put in better schooling, a corporate center, any number of things that could be used to drag people to Long Island to make them want to stay here and to fix up this currently rapidly declining shithole that we have. All things great in that area because it's in that sweet spot where property values are already low because of how close it is to the train station and how close it is to the airport. So putting in something like that wouldn't do anything too drastic to it. And then they announced they're building an NHL hockey arena. Within a few hours, the NHL said, we have no plans to relocate the Islanders back to Long Island, nor do we have any plans to put another hockey team on Long Island. So, they're spending $1 billion of taxpayer money. $1 billion. Billion. With a B. $1 billion of taxpayer money to build a hockey arena that does not have a team. If that's not mind-numbingly stupid, let's take it a step further. Because I don't know what the big fucking deal is with hockey arenas. But now that they're not going to put that casino in off exit 64 or 65, they're going to put in an AHL hockey arena. Why? Now, even if an AHL team does relocate and decide to come out here to Long Island and be the Long Island Whale, the Long Island Devils, the Long Island Stars, the Long Island Penguins, any number of other teams that exist in the region that could, relocate to Long Island and do that. If you honestly think that anyone is going to, if you think that's going to bring jobs, that's not how it's going to work. All these things are bringing is low-income, low-skilled jobs, which is not what the Long Island needs, considering how high everything is, the cost of everything is. In particularly bad areas, you can get an apartment for the low price of $1,500 a month for a one-bed, one-bath. For comparison, when we lived in Albany, we had a two-bed, one-bath for $800 a month. So, with the value of things being astronomically high and not warranted based on the area around it and not warranted by anything except for historically it always cost a lot, so it continues to cost a lot, we have this new conundrum of how do we bring jobs out here that can warrant living in these expensive houses we have. And the problem is they're not looking at solutions that are actually long-term. Now, this could have been a good idea, this NHL arena. It could have been a good idea if it was going to be an expansion team. If it was going to be an expansion team like the Golden Knights, then yes, it would have been a great idea because you would have needed to have a new owner, new staff, new management. Everything would have to be new, and it would bring a lot of new jobs to the area, and it would reinvigorate business. Granted, we also have this in, if you look in Flushing, Queens, where the Mets play. The Mets don't exactly have the nicest areas, or neither do the Yankees for that matter. Both the teams, like if you look around Flushing, around Citi Field, there's a bunch of chop shops and things like that. The area isn't very upscale compared to when you go into Citi Field, it's like stepping into an entirely new thing. Citi Field's a beautiful stadium. I'm not a Met fan, but that is a beautiful fucking stadium, Citi Field. They have really good food there too. But anyway, we're getting off topic now. If you put that in, this is not if you build it, they will come. We don't live in Field of Dreams. You are not Kevin Costner. You're not going to reinvigorate and bring a hockey team here by building $1 billion stadium for them to play in. Granted, that may come in the future, but that's far down the line. You need to focus. You need to focus on doing something that's going to bring jobs out here. Which brings us to Long Island Needs a Drag Strip. Which may be part of the problem is the name. Because it does seem like it's a kind of thing that it seems demanding. And it seems like it only is the be-all and end-all of their mission statement is to build a drag strip on Long Island. And after 10 years of raising money, you should have been able to do that by now, but they haven't yet. And the reason is because their mission is not just to build a drag strip. Their mission is much bigger than that. Hang on, let me bring it up right now. LINeedsADragstrip.org is their website. So they want to. Let me go to their mission statement. They have it on their website. Okay, mission statement. Build a family-oriented entertainment motorsports park. build a high-tech automotive-related industrial business park to bring high-paying jobs. See, this rinky-dink group of jackasses who wants to build a drag strip has a better idea of how to make Long Island a place of longevity long into the future. And the thing is, too, this is just fundamentally, they want to build a business park to bring in the high-paying jobs. But you would need to partner with, like, other companies and give tax breaks and things like that to attract the business here, the people to use that as corporate headquarters and things like that. But still, they have a better fundamental understanding of what needs to happen here, not just entertainment. Because the quote when they were building the NHL stadium, between the airport and the train station, was that it will attract people here as an entertainment destination. But the thing is, what entertainment? We have enough entertainment if you're just going to do live shows. We don't need another arena for that. There's an amphitheater, there's National Coliseum, there's plenty of places to go if you need to get a show, if you want to get a show. And I get the goal of people to stay on Long Island and keep it there, but the jobs that are being created aren't high paying enough for the majority of people. Considering by the time 2020 rolls around, minimum wage out here, 2021, will be $15 an hour. And that is still not a livable wage to be able to live in any of the housing available out here. And if that's what you're paying your concession workers, these are the thousands of jobs you're going to be building, concession workers and janitors and ticket takers and ushers and things like that, then it's going to bring a lot of money in for the people at the top, but it's not going to help the people who are struggling as it is, which is why there are a billion other things you could do better with this land. And the other net land that they're going to build another hockey arena on. This is fucking ridiculous. And it has to stop. I don't know what more to say about this, but if you live on Long Island and you continue to see this happen, you just gotta leave. It's obvious that people who are running things don't have the best interests of the future at heart. If you're listening to a podcast, odds are you are, if our demographics are starting to go on, you are 18 to 24 or 25 to 29, which means you're still young enough where planting yourself down on Long Island could be an investment that is not in your best interest. Between corporate-funded monopolies on telecommunications, we'll get into in another episode. That's a long topic about how the company Altice basically owns the town of Brookhaven and parts of the town of Smithtown, and a few other areas on Long Island where Verizon has no way in because of how they've treated Verizon over the years. So we'll get to that in a later episode, though. But we're gonna wrap it up here for today. The key is Long Island may need a drag strip, but what Long Island needs is new leadership. I've been seeing the same names over and over again since I was a kid. I've been seeing Kenneth LaValle's name all over everything. I've been seeing the same people have been running Long Island, and they're running it into the ground. Billions of dollars in debt, billions of dollars going into things that we don't need. When this hockey arena that is done, it's a done deal, the hockey arena between the train station and the airport. When that's built, and there's no hockey arena in it, and it's just another example of money that was thrown into the wind for no reason, it'll be a monument to the failures of this current group of people who are running Suffolk County. And that's what it'll be remembered as. They will be the people who destroyed this area of New York. And we'll leave it with that for today, and we'll have a great week.